Welcome to week 2 of the To Go Rome tour report.
And this week we are going to be changing things up a bit from what you saw last week, and we're going to cover 3 main elements. First of all, respond to your feedback. Secondly, things aren't going necessarily that smoothly with our travels at the moment. We've had a bit of a setback, so we want to explain to you what that is, and also 1 or 2 of the questions that you guys have provided to us, because they actually relate fairly well to the kind of setbacks we're suffering. That's what we're going to do today, so let's get straight into it. So basically, you provided us a lot of feedback, and it's been fantastic. And you know, what I take from that feedback is, do you want these Wednesday videos the way that we've got them set up? And the answer is no.
I think no is quite strong because we had some fantastic comments, but I think it's the tweaks we might need to make to it that we're now focusing on.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about our initial reaction. Our initial reaction was that actually, a lot of people were saying, we like this, but which is all good, The reason why we said repeatedly, give us feedback, is because we don't want to spend a load of time doing something that you guys are going, it's not really what we want, but yeah, it's all right. Yeah, keep doing it.
So we weren't too despondent. No. We were a little bit to begin with, but then...
We weren't. You were. Yeah, when the first couple of comments came in, Sarah, she's throwing stuff around the room and kicking holes in the walls. It was horrible to watch.
It was an Airbnb, and I respect Airbnbs.
Yeah, I guess she does. So, some of the positives that came through, what you really liked about us is that we're relatable.
Which is great, because that's why we want to do this. We're just normal people doing, normal travel.
Yeah, and I can see myself on camera here, and I'm carrying a few pounds. I'm just a normal bloke carrying a few pounds. You're going to see as we travel, I'm going to carry fewer pounds. The other things you like is you find us inspirational. So I would say...
Don't give him that information, because he thinks he's...
look at me
Bill Gates.
Yeah, Bill Gates, kind of Steve Jobs, and Sarah Moore, you're kind of Martha Stewart. But yeah, absolutely, inspirational is exactly what we are. Transparent is also something that came across in your comments. Fantastic, because... that's what we want to demonstrate. We got no airs and graces. We are who we are. Obviously, we want the privacy of our lives as well. But if we're not going to be transparent, if basically what we shared with you is this is our Instagram life, every day we're on the beach and drinking pina colada.
It's not us anyway. It's not us to be like that.
No, I do like pina coladas.
Oh, we do like that. Yeah,
that is us. That is us. You'll find that at some point.
And the next one is humour. So we.
Humour.
But again, this is us. We don't really...
This is how we interact all the time. Basically, I think the way you need to look at us is Sarah thinks I'm an idiot.
And you can decide that for yourselves.
I'm not an idiot. Sarah's very much the straight man of this relationship, and she keeps us on an even keel. But most importantly, what you're getting from our vlogs is that it's informative, and that's what you saw last week. We went over the top with information, and you want information, you just don't want the level of information that I tend to like. So that's fair enough. The things that you didn't like, that you found could potentially be a problem over a period of time, it could be repetitive. If every week we're saying we did this on Monday, this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday.
Which was our concern as well by doing it, so really pleased that feedback came in, because it was something that I certainly said, it's going to be predictable. Generally your week ones are higher because you're moving in somewhere. Also,
you thought that generally it could be a little bit too rigid of a format for To Go Rome, because we are 2 extremely chilled people, and we've retired and we're chilling our lives around the world. If we're going, hello and welcome to this week's board meeting, we're going to do a quick status update on the cash flow forecast from last week, then it might be a little bit cramping our style. So thank you for telling us that also. But the one thing that you did intimate you wanted through your comments is you want to see our numbers, and you want to see it on a semi-regular basis. So you are going to see that, and in fact across the bottom of the screen now you can see on week 2 exactly what we spent. But rather than making it a focus of this video, we'll just show it down here. Other things you wanted to see is you want to see more Q&A.
Okay. Which we enjoy doing, don't we? Because we love the engagement.
Yeah, and the number of questions that came in the last week is absolutely staggering. I set Sarah the task of compiling it all, categorise it. How's that all gone?
Yeah, it's still ongoing, but yeah.
That's exactly what I sensed. While I'm here struggling to edit and things, and she's sat in the lounge watching telly, and I'm thinking, is she categorised?
No, I have done it. I have.
Have you?
Yeah, I have.
So we can check now.
There you can.
Be right back. Okay, she's done it. She hasn't done it the way I do it, but she's done it. She's done it. You'd like to see more of the ebb and flow of our spending. To see a week of spend, you can say, well, that's what it costs in Athens. But every week is different. And what's the general ebb and flow? We've got an idea for a way that we can show you how the spending changes through a month in a location in a very low impact way that isn't going to be you having to listen to me ramble on. And we'll put that in a video probably in 2 or 3 weeks' time.
Yeah. And the categories?
Yeah, so actually, we've had a few questions about, we've not seen your travel spend. Like, how are you accounting for airline tickets and how are you accounting for healthcare costs and things like that? So we'll get into the categorisation of how we build up our spending pattern as well. So that will be there. And another area is accommodation. People are very interested in how we book it, the process, the hints, the tips and traps, what platforms we use, and also where we're staying. We're in our third accommodation here in Athens. Remember I said things haven't gone according to plan. We'll come to that shortly. And we will share all of that. We will show you every place we ever stop. We will also explain to you how we book that kind of stuff. Okay. So we had all that feedback and we had 4 options of what we could do with it. Option 1, we could say, we're just going to carry on regardless. We don't care what they say. We're going to do it for 6 weeks. And that's what we said we were going to do. That's what we're going to do. I don't care what they thought we should do. That was option 1. Option 2, we could decide against doing these videos altogether. Go, oh, that's what you think, is it? Right, well, we're stopping it. We're not doing it anymore.
That's it.
See how they like that? We could have done that. Okay. Option 3, we could just keep doing it every week for the next 6 weeks to convince you that we were right all along. Okay. Which is often how I manage my life with Sarah, and she doesn't. I don't convince her. She just gives in. Okay. I don't feel the YouTube audience will respond in quite the same way as Sarah does. The final option, which is the one we went for, take it on board. Let's listen and let's flex. So what do we do with that information physically? What do we do with it, Sarah?
We went to a coffee shop and literally spent the day there going through every single comment with a fine tooth comb, writing down all the bits that were obviously mentioned in your comments. We used a gate chart to see who liked it and who disliked it. And it was really thorough analysis on your comments.
Really was. So thorough that we planned to be there for a couple of hours. It was a coffee shop when we arrived. It then became a lunch place and then it became an evening place. So we stayed, we had coffees, we had lunch and then we had beer. Yes. So having completed that, we kind of built our blueprint, improving on what we did last week with your input. And for that, we are truly thankful. What we're going to do is a smattering of everything I'm about to list here. We're going to share with you a representative weekly spend from every location we're in. So take last week, that was a week spending in Athens. What is Athens? If you're going to go to Athens for a week, what's it going to cost you?
We're going to give you regular updates as to how we're doing against our annual budget of 46,900 USD.
Yeah, so every week in the Wednesday, we'll put it on screen, and it's on screen now. How are we doing against that? And you'll see we're improving a little bit, but you will also see things are going to go a little bit south, because remember I said things aren't going according to plan. We'll come to that in a minute. Travel insurance, flight spend. How are we going to cope with inflation and crashing markets around us? So this is a lot of this will be around finance, but also the philosophy. How our thinking is when, at the moment, markets are crashing in Asia and the US. Sarah didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't know
that. I'll discuss that with her
I don't like
later.
knowing stuff like that, so that's a perfect example.
Yeah, that's how we manage it. Just don't tell her. She doesn't need to know. Also, in the same category, financial independence, retire early, because that's how we manage to do this. And we want to talk about some of the things that you don't normally hear about that, how to prepare for it, what to do financially, all those kind of things. So, if you've got questions on that, fire them in there. But also looking at it from the other side. So if you're heading towards financial independence, retire early, to travel the world, that kind of stuff, we want to share with you how it feels the other side, because it is actually different to what we expected.
And lots of questions from you all. This is why we're here. We want to help you do your travel, help you with fire, and hopefully demystify the whole lot for you.
Absolutely. And we're planning to put those questions in every one of these Wednesday videos. We'll always pick off one or two, and we're going to do a couple of those at the end of this video today. But I said earlier, something's happened while we're in Athens that is a bit of a challenge, and we're working our way through it at the moment. So let's just run through that now. We're going to go into the detail on this in a later Wednesday video. Maybe next Wednesday, maybe the Wednesday after. Depends when we get to the resolution of this one. I woke up one morning with a really painful shoulder and a really, let's just call it a strange pain that I've not felt before in my shoulder area, which was a little bit concerning, but being a bloke, and I'm sure all blokes watching this can relate, I thought I'll keep it to myself, because if I mention it to Sarah, it'll only become a big deal and I'll have to do something. So I kept it to myself, thinking, right, tomorrow morning it'll feel a bit better. Tomorrow morning felt the same. Following morning felt the same. Felt the same every day for about 5 or 6 days. Got to a point where I was thinking, when we move from this location to another one, my shoulder is really, I can't lift stuff, and I was scared of lifting heavy weights and that kind of stuff. So, big alarming thing to tell you, we have no travel insurance, but we'll cover that in the video when we wind all this up. So what we needed to do was get it sorted out, and that's involved physio, it's involved scans at hospitals, it's involved doctor visits, so orthopedic surgeon. So I've had so far 4 physio appointments. I've got another one tomorrow. I've been to the doctor, the orthopedic surgeon. I've been and had MRI scans. I've had ultrasounds. We don't know where we are at the moment because I've had all of the tests. The test results should be back on Friday. I need to book an appointment with the orthopedic surgeon to walk that through. I'm going to hopefully get that on Friday, and hoping that we'll get the resolution on Friday, and then this video next week we can talk about healthcare. We got lots of funny B-roll of me having various things done to me, which is going to be quite fun to watch.
You'll see more of Neil than you normally would.
Yeah, more than you ever will want to see again. So hopefully that'll get resolved this week. We'll share it next week. If it's still ongoing though, what we want to do is roll up the whole thing into one, so that we can tell a story around the healthcare situation here in Greece. I said that we had a couple of questions that we wanted to go through because they relate fairly much to what I've just spoken about, and there are many, many more. So if you're sat there thinking, why had a healthcare question? Why has he not answered that? We're going to get to all the questions on healthcare probably in that specific video. So the first question we want to cover is around kind of the philosophy of travel from Setback. Not sure how I'll pronounce that as a YouTube name, but Sarah, why don't you read the question and I'll see if I can get the answer to this one.
Okay. The great thing about this cost of travel series is that it sparks real questions and tangible solutions. For instance, the Airbnb 30-day discount is a golden rule / benefit of slow travel, but it limits flexibility not only in a city, but maybe in a neighbourhood in a city. This flexibility concept is what troubles me. It seems a big benefit to slow travel is reduced stress by not constantly thinking of the next step, ticket, etc. Is slow travel a science or an art?
So, much like Dardin last week, that's a very, very, very long question. First of all, the Airbnb 30-day discount, it's actually a 28-day discount, and that's why we talk about spending 4 weeks in a location rather than a month. When you hit the 28-day barrier, then you get big reductions. Sometimes you can get anything up to 60% reduction in your Airbnb cost. Often though, it's about 5%.
Yeah.
So it's worthwhile whenever you're booking an Airbnb to look at it for a month, look at it for 28 days, but then look at it for 2 weeks and see what that is. And you might see that the delta between the two isn't big enough to actually make it worthwhile. But coming back to the question of flexibility around all this, and the reason why it relates to this week is we should have left Athens by now. But because of my situation, we can't. So let's look at this with a challenging approach to it. Let's assume that we were leaving Athens, and I think we were planning to go on to Bulgaria at that point, onto Plovdiv, I think it was. So let's assume in our pre-COVID days, in pre-COVID where you book everything ahead, but we thought, okay, we're going to spend 28 days in Athens and then 28 days in Plovdiv. We're in Athens, this problem hits, the challenge of this, and we think, put the brakes on, we got to change things. It's not just about the inflexibility of travel, booking that far ahead, but also if you book on Airbnb 28 days, you don't have any cancellation options. I think you get cancellation for the next 48 hours, but 48 hours ago might have been in October last year and you said, let's go to Plovdiv. So you would lose your money. There are clever ways of working around that. We may discuss that at some point in the future.
We know a few people that do get very friendly with the host beforehand. Yeah. It's something that we haven't actually managed to achieve yet, but that could be one way of getting around that problem.
I would say to what you've just said, Sarah, that we have done that, not here, but if we were returning back to Mexico, I think if we went to Querétaro or to San Miguel de Allende, we would probably speak directly to the hosts and deal with them directly, and that would give us a different fee because we've been there. Here in Athens, we haven't had that benefit thus far. So around the flexibility, at the moment, we're really pleased that we're able to stay flexible. We've booked this apartment for an additional 2 weeks, but we're knowing that we may need to stay longer if there's a bigger issue. So is it a science or an art? I think it's a bit of both. Yeah. And a lot of it comes down to just relaxing a little bit. Yeah. My old world, I'd always want to book way in advance for everything, but just relax a bit, because certainly at the moment with COVID, things are very fluid. Hopefully everything we're hearing, isn't it, is that this could be our way out of the pandemic with Omicron. Let's hope to goodness that it is, but we don't know that. So another question is from Janelle R.
Do you feel slow travel versus faster paced travel is easier or more difficult during the pandemic? Obviously it is all harder, but in comparison to other travel, how do you feel COVID impacts slow travellers?
What's your initial thought on that?
I think it is harder because we're having to really work out where we're going rather than just book a flight and going, and it takes a lot more planning.
But I would say it's much easier than fast travel. Absolutely. Because we're here and we can take stock. And Sarah mentioned a destination this morning and said, everything okay to get there? And my answer to her was, don't know, because as you know, we're here for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, anything can happen. So we've got the time to sit back, relax, enjoy the location we're in, have outline plans. We've got outline plans, Bulgaria, Albania. I don't know if Albania's... We discussed Albania? No, Albania. Okay, things change all the time. But we're not... We still at this point don't know where we're going to when we leave Athens because of COVID. But it means that let's just chill, and probably a week before we leave, we will look at flights, look at accommodation, but probably only pencil in and try and do things at the last minute. So, and
I think fast travel for us wouldn't work. We've got far too much stuff, as we keep saying, for a start, and also for us physically, I just don't think it will work anymore. We're not youngsters, able to, in our 20s, able to just throw a backpack on and go. So I think we like to know what we're doing and do a bit of research, don't we, and plan. So I think fast travel, if you were doing that, you'd spend your whole time just researching and on your laptop where you're going to go, rather than enjoy the neighbourhood and the obviously the city we're in.
We're not stressed. We are not stressed at all.
Even in the current situation, we're not stressed, because if necessary, we'll just either stay here or find another Airbnb if we have to.
On Saturday, we are doing our food tour. We're doing it in a bit of an unusual way. And that is, one of us has got just €20 to get breakfast, lunch, dinner, and maybe a little drinky as well. The other one of us has an unlimited budget, can eat and drink what they
I
like.
hope that's me. I so hope that's
So we haven't shot it yet, and we haven't tossed the coin. So you will see that on Saturday. But what it's going to show you is the gamut of food that's available in Greece, because we're going to be going low end, the cheaper end, the street food kind of stuff, and one of us is going to go for that kind of.
It won't be high end because we don't do high end. It's still going to be within a reasonable budget.
Oh yeah.
Because that's not us anyway to go completely high end.
Yeah.
So we're not going to go stupid, but it's just going to be more.
It'd be interesting contrast.
Different restaurants and different things to try.
If you're new here, subscribe. If you're not new here, comment, thumbs up, share. Our views are just very stagnant.
Yeah.
We're thinking, are we doing something wrong?
Yeah.
So share it wide and get the message out there. You've been watching To Go Rome. We'll see you Saturday. Bye for now.